I arrived here in 1954 when Conrad Hilton asked me to take a position at the Beverly Hilton as its banquet and catering manager. And I used to work at the Waldorf Astoria since I'm 17 years old. I started as an apprentice cook there and worked my way up to banquet manager at the Waldorf. And I loved the Waldorf in New York City. It was questionable whether I wanted to go to Beverly Hills or the West Coast. I came here the second time and I stayed at the Bel Air. I saw the beautiful sky, blue sky, palm trees out of my room, and I decided it might be worth coming here. I thought it was sort of quaint. Beautiful homes that you heard about were famous for. The residential city was sort of charming, and there were grand homes, just as I expected. There was beautiful greenery and beautiful flowers and plants, and it was fun driving around. Some people told me so-and-so lives here, and Charlie Chaplin lived here, and all of that. And that's sort of what I expected to hear. I liked the community for the restaurants. I had the Luau then. We had the Brown Derby on Rodeo Drive. We had the Swiss Cafe. It was just another street in the city. It was not really a grand street. It was fine. It was not extraordinary. There was a two parking lots there. There was a filling station that I recall. Just mom and pop shops, nothing to write home about. Special earrings and things that the ladies love to give as a gift to their husbands and for dinner parties, whatever. I think Beverly Hills, in my mind, is a lot better today, and it could be yet a hell of a lot better than it is now. I'm not at all enthralled with the look of Wilshire Boulevard, which should be a grand boulevard with a Beverly Hills sort of an atmosphere and keeping up with what's going on all around us. I find Wilshire Boulevard mostly unattractive and very disappointing. I think with the name Beverly Hills comes great architecture. I'm in favor of having great architects submit a plan for Wilshire Boulevard, at least from Robinson's department store, where the Beverly Hilton is, to La Cienega, I guess, and make it a grand boulevard with not only beautiful architecture, it could be multi-use or business use, but beautiful gardens and beautiful palm trees and cafes and theaters for the young and old. But we have to bring some young people into this community or it's going to get stale. I love the Luau, and of course we have Trader Vic's at the Hilton, which is similar, but the Luau was sort of unique. It was also a unique time. The residents in Beverly Hills have changed a lot with the influx of some people that have come here. They have different view of homes, in my opinion, a little big and too many columns and too much ironwork and too much sameness, more of that than anything else. I think a few of them would be great. So in those days, really, there were big, wonderful homes, but there was lots of lawn to go with them and lots of flowers and trees and interesting architecture. And I like the mix of architecture. That's not an anecdote by any means. But you know, what makes California fun is it's not one set thing. It's yellow, it's pink, it's white, it's cream, it's blue. It can be purple even. That's sort of fun architecture and fun driving through. There's nothing amazing that I see that has been instituted, nothing really magnificent. You know, I think there's a lot of work to be done in that area. In the last 10 years, that's a lot. What's happened in Wilshire Boulevard in 10 years, that's what I relate to, really, as a businessman. Rodeo Drive certainly has improved greatly. It's now an international street. It's a different thrust, but it needs a great deal of tourism. It needs a great deal of business from the local community, but it's a street that's very interesting, and we're talking about implementing things on a street that will attract more people and make it very special. That's what you have to do. When you build a city, you have to make it special. You got to maintain that name Beverly Hills. You can't lose the greatness that is Beverly Hills. Well, you have boundaries, you know. Santa Monica seems to be boundary. North of that, you leave it alone and make sure that the homes are attractive and that they're well cared for and that you still have that interesting mix of architecture and grounds. The business community, I think Wilshire should be independent of others. It should not be limited to 3 or 5 floors, whatever that is. It should be limited to a number of floors that make it attractive for great architects and investors to speculate on having a beautiful building like that. But that brings a lot to our community, as I explained, from the point of view of cafes and fun and enjoyment of the wonderful climate that we have. I miss this a lot here. There's Spago, which I'm at a lot. We have other restaurants that I find very outstanding. The Grill, which brings in very attractive clientele from the industry, motion picture industry, agents and people of that nature. And certainly there are lots of other, like my street here, Canon Drive, has a lot of local restaurants that the locals can eat without spending a great deal of money, and there's some outdoor tables that they can use and enjoy as well. Because everybody talks about how crowded it is and these poor streets in Beverly Hills, but you've got to realize that 80% probably of all the traffic comes, it's like a donut, comes from around us, and they keep building around us, and we're standing still. And that's not fair to a community because we need the taxes that business brings about. If you look at the new plan for the triangle, you'll find that it's improved traffic, it's beautification, it's what has to be done. It's going to be an assessment to the landlords, which is only proper, and it's going to improve the city lots as well, and it's going to improve the destiny of people living here. There's going to be more parking, and it's going to be easier traffic, and it's going to be beautiful to be here. Right now, the city needs a lot of work. It's living somehow on its past. And the name Beverly Hills is the most important name there is in this country, and you can't do enough to maintain that. And for that, you take a great balance. You can't do too much, and you can't do too little. And that takes a good council, and it takes intelligent people that make a general plan. Okay. I was, of course, a hotelman, you know, and I bought an interest in that, in a store that one of my friends wanted to open by the name of George Grant. Came to me and he wanted me to invest with him. And I invested with him. A year later, to make it short, they were wanted to go belly up, and I bought out my 2 partners so that I owned a dress shop, which I didn't want to do, but I don't want to go into bankruptcy. That doesn't exist in my book. Even if it doesn't hurt, if it hurts less, I'd rather go broke and leave the business than go into bankruptcy. So, you know, then I went several steps. Meyer Shine got me over to the Ambassador Hotel. They were going to build a large development, a big convention center, and big banquets room that appealed to me. I became general manager at the Ambassador Hotel. I also sort of liked the idea of doing something with a Coconut Grove. That was very difficult because Las Vegas was just expanding big time. People went to Las Vegas more than here for the entertainment, and the entertainment became very expensive to book. It went, I don't need to tell you that Las Vegas paid $40,000, and we could pay maybe for a Lena Horne $10,000. And it took a Lena Horne to really make us busy and fill the place and be successful. So the Grove, while it was very wonderful and nostalgic, had difficulty existing. Then after that, I went with a friend of mine, opened a restaurant downtown. There was a black ride. I left that. Then I was going to buy the Romanoff restaurant on Rodeo Drive, South Rodeo Drive. Michael Romanoff always wanted me to join him as a partner, and I don't want to have partners. I started spending time in my little store for the first time. And I could see that there was really a potential to the rag business, as you would call it, or the schmarte business, I call it. The women's fashion business, okay? And if I were to attribute the success of Fred Hayman, it was that we were great marketing people, and we knew how to do it differently and better, and newness.
The nicest thing about Rodeo Drive is you still have stores like this, Fred Hayman's, which is still a small boutique, a large store, but it has the small boutique flavor. And then, of course, you still have the Gucci's and the Cartiers and the Tiffany's. So we still have the old flavor of Beverly Hills, but with the new changes, I think the mixing of the old and the new is going to only benefit the Drive, and it's going to be one of the most renowned streets to shop on in the world. It is already, but it will even be bigger.
You know, my ex-wife and I knew anything about buying. You learn, and you learn very quickly when you put the dollars in it. And we started buying women's clothes, and he was all new to us. I didn't know a size 4 from a size 14, and nor did my ex-wife. So we gave the pencil to whoever we looked at and say, you write it for us. And you learn very quickly, you know, it doesn't take long. Elegance is one important part of it. Style is a very more important part than elegance. You can mix style with youth and with more older people, and it's very successful. But whatever it is, we found a solution of buying very well. It was a hot period for fashion. We took advantage of it. We bought all the hot new designers, and we knew what to buy. And while we didn't know anything about retailing, it comes to you very quickly when you pay the bills. We had a pot of coffee on. We served coffee. We served, in those days you didn't drink wine, you drank scotch or vodka, bourbon or gin and tonic, stuff like that. Vodka was already popular. And we had a bottle of each, and as the guests came in, we offered them a drink if they so wanted. Coffee is usually what we served. That was charming. I bought a pool table, put a pool table in a ladies' dress shop. Well, that was really unusual, especially in a tiny dress shop, maybe 500-600 square feet. A pool table takes a lot of space. But people started coming in. First they said, oh, this poor bastards, he was such a successful hotelman. Now he's clipping the hedges outside, he's sweeping the streets, sidewalks, and all of that. But you swallow and you say, this is going to be successful, because you already see that the few people that come in are great and enjoy it, and they talk. We latched on to a blazer. The Dunhill blazer became the uniform in Beverly Hills. It's what you see and what you do and how you treat the people. You write them a letter of thanks, you greet them, give them special attention. We had parking across the street. It was validated. It was a club, so we enlarged it. Yeah. Anecdote is good service. Everything that's good service. You give curb-to-curb service. That's good service. You see, when somebody calls, I need a handbag for my wife because we're stuck and we don't have anything that matches. And at 7 o'clock you open a store and you stand outside with a handbag, and you know that you can bill them for it. Like that for that. But that's what we did. You know, giving out a little gift to everyone that shops is a very individual thing that's personal, and we did a lot of that. We gave frozen raviolis once because the houseman made the most delicious raviolis, so I had them freeze little packets, and we gave that to our customers after the purchase. You have a little gift for you. That's personalized service. That's different. The people talk about you. You know, we took over the Abel store on Rodeo, and it became a bigger store, and we could market many more things, and it really became the absolute store in Beverly Hills, along with Jack's, really. Jack's was very good, and the general store was very good in those days, too. So we kept adding space until I was able to buy the building. Let me tell you, it was never easy, because you start this with a small business administration loan, if you knew what that is. And that's not easy, because it doesn't give you a lot of money. And, but it makes you better. You know, people like George Jensen came in every morning at 10 and had his schnapps or his scotch and soda, whatever he drank, and shot a game of pool. We had celebrities galore. Really, people found out, but it was very hard work to maintain the momentum. You write thank you letters, you write letters, we haven't seen you, we miss serving you, and so forth and so on. But it became a bigger enterprise. We added a men's store, we added a shoe salon upstairs. Each time we had to remodel. We kept the store interesting. Beverly Hills, you got to keep it interesting, understand? You don't stand the way it is safe. Safe is very easy, but it doesn't work too long. If I could only have this lesson to everyone in Beverly Hills. It's very easy to say, oh, we want to keep it just the way it is, but it doesn't stay around us the way it is. So we got to move with the times. And that's very charming still. Keep the residential community as it is, but also don't just dictate the buildings for the commercial part of this. Dictate what residents can build. So it doesn't become like cookie cutters, like expensive tract homes, if they are, I assume they're expensive. So you have a certain charm, and when you walk and drive through, it's interesting rather than appalling.
So So what happened with Hilfiger, for instance?
Tommy Hilfiger was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Rodeo Drive is not for Tommy Hilfiger, in my opinion. It's a great merchandise, great mix for very young people. They're doing very well on 3rd Street Promenade. I think they're opening their 3rd store there, if I'm well. Robertson is very wonderful. South is not wonderful. You can have a lot of community stores there that would be much better than what we have there today. Today it's really not good. South Beverly is okay, but it needs updating, charming, and keep the charm, restrict the height there. I'm just talking now about Wilshire Boulevard. I'm not talking about south of Wilshire or north of Santa Monica Boulevard. And I'm not saying Rodeo Drive should have 7 floors, no. But Wilshire Boulevard should have whatever number of floors is possible for it to be a success. We had a survey made that 70% of the residents of Beverly Hills don't shop in Beverly Hills. Yes. Well, that's pretty goddamn disgusting. Street, I'm not suggesting that it all becomes Rodeo Drive. It'd be a disaster if you had all expensive stores. But I think there has to be also something that tells the community, shop here. You owe it to the merchants because they pay 70 or 75% of the taxes. You know, that pay for the police and fire department and keeping Beverly Hills green and all of the good things that the infrastructure has here. You see, Nate and Al should always stay here. Beverly should always stay as it is. A coffee shop, the cheese shop is a gem. There should be a bookstore, and if necessary, you got to make a subsidy. You got to just get a bookstore, 2 bookstores here. It's a very literate community. You're not without a bookstore. You mean about development of Greystone, one way or the other? No, I know, and I respect Bram Goldsmith. I know the people who live there, and of course that's a very affluent group, and they want to preserve Doheny the way it is now. And they don't want anything to happen to Greystone except tear it down and build 5 beautiful big homes there. If you can't afford Greystone, you're going to have to set a time by which you do something with it or abort. It should be either or. Either you do or you don't do. If you don't do, then indeed you have to put some beautiful homes that belong there, get a lot of revenue for the city. If you have the money to, or the hope to develop it as it is and maintain it so you have light, and you don't have leaks, and you can afford grounds for the kids and a garden club and all these wonderful things, then you do that. But it takes underwriting. Because you have very powerful people who live there and they don't want to be disturbed from what they have now. And as far as they're concerned, they rightfully think it's just a liability.